looks like just another traditional house, but once a year it transforms into a global stage. The Rainforest World Music Festival draws over 20,000 visitors from around the world.
It started as a small homegrown event and it's grown globally. It's authentic, it's sustainable, and it's proudly Sarawakian.
How do creative ideas like festivals turn what you have into a cool tourism event? Tune in to Decimal Point. Tourism is big business in Sarawak. In 2024, the state welcomed 4.83 million visitors, beating pre-pandemic levels, with revenues hitting 12.45 billion ringgit. For 2025, the target, 5 million tourists with 12.76 billion ringgit expected. What's behind this buzz? Festivals and events. They're a magnet for tourists. So Audrey, can you briefly describe to us the role of Sarawak Tourism Federation and explain to us a bit about your background in the tourism industry over the past few years?
My background is actually economics. That was what I was trained in, economics and finance. But 35 years ago, my father had asked me to come back and work in a family business, which is looking after a small hotel here in Kuching. And I was not actually trained as a hotelier. I thought, why not just give it a try? So I came, I started looking after the hotel, and then from there we also have a travel agency, an inbound travel agency, and my love for tourism started from there. And I also got involved in tourism agencies, and that's how the Sarawak Tourism Association, actually it was called at that time, started, which was actually a collection of all the private sector players in tourism. About 20 years ago, we formed the Sarawak Tourism Federation. So we're actually an umbrella body of all tourism players. We're the private sector of tourism players. So we encompass hotels, travel agents, guides, tourist attractions, transport operators. So anything tourism related and private sector, that's who we are. And the Tourism Federation now is over 20 years. Yeah, it's going from strength to strength. So we aim to have a broad representation of all the tourism players in the industry represented in the Sarawak Tourism Federation. And we work very closely with the Ministry of Tourism through the Sarawak Tourism Board and Business Events Sarawak. In fact, the president of the Sarawak Tourism Federation sits on the Sarawak Tourism Board, and I sit on the tourism board, and I usually gather feedback and give useful feedback to the tourism board. We meet regularly. The tourism board is actually the marketing arm of the Ministry of Tourism Sarawak. So we give useful feedback, and we also work very closely with the STB on all its marketing promotions of Sarawak.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. That's very insightful. When people think about tourism here in Sarawak, there's two things that stand out. One is ecotourism, the other is cultural heritage. Yeah. As a tourism champion, is this still the case, or have things shifted over the years?
Yes, I think ecotourism remains the core of tourism in Sarawak. However, the state has also diversified. We have included things like food, festivals, and actually Kuching is now known as the UNESCO Creative City of Gastronomy. that's one of the products that we are diversifying into. Besides, of course, the UNESCO heritage sites of Mulu, Nia. Yeah, so that's how we are diversifying. Yeah, but our core strengths always remain our ecotourism products.
So Audrey, when one speaks about Sarawak as a tourism destination and the list of festivals they have for the year, I can't help but always think about the Rainforest World Music Festival. So the state has had that for the past 28 years. It's been majorly successful. So can you share with us the secret behind this huge success for the state?
Okay. Well, I think the Rainforest World Music Festival is an event organized by the Sarawak Tourism Board for the past 24 years now. But it started as a small homegrown event, and it's grown globally. And up till last year and the year before, it had almost 20,000 visitors. So it's authentic, it's sustainable, and it's proudly Sarawakian. It brings to the economy not only the hotels, the beneficiaries, the F&B outlets, transport operators. Yeah, and they do have as well an event to promote sustainability. So I think those are some of the reasons why it is very successful. The event is held at the Sarawak Cultural Village, where it blends local culture with a whole host of entertainers from around the world. So that's pretty unique and pretty special. The Ministry of Tourism is very open-minded to having all these acts coming in. Of course, with limits, generally there's a feel-good feeling for the whole event.
Malaysia is aggressively raising its international tourist profile with initiatives like Visit Malaysia 2026, as tourism contributes as much as 15% of GDP. Recently, we've seen Sarawak host a few international events and concerts, including the one with Bonnie M. So what does this say about Sarawak for the international concert scene?
So I think Sarawak now is more confident, and in terms of capacity, I think we are able to accommodate bigger concerts, and it shows that we can manage our logistics as well. And of course, a lot of times we have joint partnerships with the more experienced concert planners from West Malaysia, but I think Sarawak is becoming more and more confident to hold these kind of events on a bigger scale.
So with the international artists, we've also had other performers, very famous world performers like Kitaro performing at the Rainforest World Music Festival, and we've had Earth, Wind and Fire also come to Sarawak. Why is it that these organisers who traditionally look towards Star Arena and Genting are now suddenly discovering a new audience here in Sarawak?
Well, I think first of all, practically the capacity and the demand is there actually. And they actually brought even more interest to the Rainforest Music Festival, although they may not be classified really as authentic music, but nonetheless they were also a crowd puller, and both were very successful, and they did really increase the visitor numbers to the event. So I think we hope that in future more of this kind of acts will be coming in, but it signals also that we can cope. The capacity is there at the cultural village, and then now with new capacity, new venues coming up, we are very confident that this kind of bigger events can be accommodated here in Sarawak. Yeah.
So this signals to the world essentially that Sarawak is ready.
Yes, and I think we have also got. The Ministry of Tourism is quite open-minded to having all these acts coming in, of course with limits, but I think generally there is a feel-good feeling for the whole event, and it was well patronized.
And currently you've got infrastructure that is being built to accommodate more artistic and creative industry in the future. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yes, that's right. Currently, the biggest venue that we have now is at the Borneo Convention Centre in Kuching, BCCK, and they are actually expanding their capacity. And we've had quite a few concerts there, including the Bonnie M concert was actually there. So I think this augurs well. Instead of small niche events, now we can grow bigger.
So the Borneo Convention Centre Kuching also hosts business events, right? And I know that as part of a strategy by the Sarawak government, you do hold business conventions and things like MICE, the meetings, incentives, conferences and exhibitions.
Yes.
So how does this augur together with the Visit Malaysia Year 2026 and beyond?
So the MICE sector is a very strong contributor to the economy here in Sarawak, and because typically business travelers, they do spend more than leisure travelers in terms of logistics, in terms of conference planning and all that. So this sector is growing rapidly, and through the Business Events Sarawak, which is an agency which has been formed under the Ministry of Tourism Sarawak, they actually focus specifically on conferences, bringing conferences and exhibitions into Sarawak. So this agency has actually set up a solid strategy on planning conferences, and also part of their strategy is also a legacy of these conferences. So it's not just conference for the sake of conference, but the legacy and the impact of what it will have on Sarawak. So I think these are very important players and events that are actually bringing a lot of good to the state of Sarawak.
So generally when we talk about Sarawak and tourism, we focus more on the two aspects I said earlier, the ecotourism and the multiculturalism and the culture
The leisure,
aspect,
yeah.
leisure. Why does the Sarawak government want to attract these kind of events here?
I think the focus as well, the Premier is very, very forward thinking, and he is looking into renewable energy, digital innovation. So a lot of conferences that have been brought into Sarawak focus on these topics, and they involve a lot of academia, and there are a lot of investment opportunities as well in Sarawak. So having this kind of conference would actually, I think, educate the people and also bring in serious investors to see how it really is in Sarawak and what opportunities are available to them to come for investment. And also, the academia as well. There are a lot of possibilities because this is a new and emerging sector. And even like AI, our Premier is also quite keen on developing with the universities, like the Swinburne University. I think they are quite keen on that. And therefore, I think it's not just leisure, but it's also bringing in these people for academic side and also for opportunities in business. One of the main problems that we have is the lack of connectivity with international destinations.
Tourism in Sarawak is like low-hanging fruit, contributing over 1 billion ringgit in tourist spending every month since January 2025, keeping the target within reach. But what are some of the challenges that tour operators need to fine-tune? So, Audrey, in a state with 34 different ethnicities, there's bound to be a lot of festivals and happenings throughout the year. So one of them is like Gawai Dayak, you've got the Borneo Craft Festival and all these kind of things which showcase Sarawak's cultural identity. So how does this translate into monetary and social benefit for the people of Sarawak?
So events like Gawai Dayak are not just celebrations, but they are rather platforms for community-based ecotourism, and they empower the local villagers, the rural entrepreneurs. They encourage them to come up with, to have things like homestays and generate income for themselves. Even if it's, the young people who are entertaining through their cultural dances, socially that is also a way for them to preserve their cultural heritage. So this is how we see that these events are also empowering the local communities through community-based ecotourism.
Audrey, let's explore some facts and figures. So the tourism revenue of Sarawak hit 12.45 billion in 2024, surpassing that of pre-pandemic times in 2019. So many in Peninsular Malaysia might not realise what Sarawak has to offer, or the full extent of things that Sarawak has to offer. So how can Sarawak leverage on your UNESCO heritage sites and the recognition Sarawak received in 2021 of the creative city of gastronomy?
Yes, indeed, 2024 was indeed an outstanding year. We achieved 4.83 million visitor arrivals in that year, bringing in revenue of about 12.4 billion ringgit, which surpassed actually the 2019 figures. And in 2025, our target is 5 million visitor arrivals with a tourism revenue of 12.75 billion. So that's on average more than 1 billion ringgit a month. So this augurs well definitely for Sarawak. People always ask, so what's new coming to Sarawak? And food is always something which is a favorite. So we can leverage on that. It's not just your kolomi and your laksa, but we have more fine dining as well, but with a ethnic flavor. And recently Sarawak was featured in World Expo in Osaka. Gastronomy and Sarawak's cuisine was brought to another level. We had a Michelin star chef to actually present Sarawakian cuisine to the world, and it was very, very successful. It followed up another session in Mulu, and it really shows people what we can, it's not just kolomi and kopitiam kind of food, but it's actually fine dining, but with a real Sarawakian flavor. So this is something that I think through our culinary heritage, we can actually bring these unique specialties that we have here in Sarawak to the world.
So organising festivals and large events, especially on the international scale, do come with its specific host of problems. So you've got the logistics, the funding, and the list goes on, as you know. So what are the specific hurdles faced by Sarawak in developing this festival ecosystem?
Well, I think one of the main problems that we have is connectivity, air connectivity particularly, and the lack of connectivity with international destinations. We only have at the moment, Kuching to Singapore and to Miri, Singapore to Miri, then to Cebu, and also to Pontianak and Jakarta, and that's it really. So, but our state government will be introducing Air Borneo. We hope in the second quarter of 2026, and this promises to have a lot better connectivity not only within the state but also within the region. Also added to that would be the number of skilled personnel, especially in event management, and for that we are also doing aggressive training and upskilling of event planners and event managers. So, and also building up capacity for bigger venues, and of course more accommodation, more hotels, and improving the logistics and the infrastructure. So these are all happening as we speak. And actually in 2028 we have a huge world conference to look forward to, the World Water Conference. I believe that there will be more than 10,000 delegates coming in. So I think the tourism players, us hoteliers, ground operators, logistic planners, and all, we are really gearing up and preparing for these big events that will be happening in the not too distant future. Yeah.
Yet despite the logistical issues you mentioned earlier, there's so many nationalities that are already making their way onto the streets of Kuching and exploring Borneo, including Sarawak. So that shows that there is a demand. Would you agree with me?
Yes, I think for the short haul market, and in particular Brunei and Indonesia, these are our biggest markets now. So it shows that accessibility is very easy overland, by flights, and so you can actually drive. Even now with the Pan-Borneo Highway, driving easily from Brunei to come into Sarawak is very, very easy. The same as well from Indonesia. So this for the short term, these are our market, and they will be the low-hanging fruits, as they call it. Yeah.
So as a tourism player yourself, I'm sure you noticed that the tourism will definitely spike during festivals, during events and all this kind of thing. The challenge is how to keep this consistent even when there is a lull in your events calendar for Sarawak. So do you have any suggestions on how Sarawak can improve and maintain the number of tourists that come even during the lull periods?
Yeah. It's true that it was very seasonal. Actually, tourism arrivals was very seasonal because we used to focus a lot on the European market. But now we also look at the Australasian market, so Australia, New Zealand markets, and their summer holidays or holiday periods would be opposite of what the European visitors come. But I think we can also leverage on the Kuching as a UNESCO city of gastronomy. That is throughout the year, not just seasonal, but everybody has to eat, and that happens throughout the year. So these are we've got pockets of event happening, during the low times, and we have events like even the, what about Kuching? That is an event that was actually happening during the lower season, and so there's constantly things happening throughout the year. So I think this is one way that we can make sure that there is a constant stream and flow of tourists coming into the state throughout the year.
I think we've covered quite a lot in terms of tourism and festivals and the tourist event calendar for Sarawak. It's quite a comprehensive story. So just finishing off from talking about festivals and the cultural aspects of Sarawak tourism, how do all these things come together to create this beautiful, unique story of Sarawak tourism?
And there are more and more events happening. For example, even recently this year we marked the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. So that is part of wartime heritage, which I think has big potential in Sarawak. And also, I think if we look into enhancing our connectivity, we are very excited that Air Borneo is coming in the second quarter of next year. We have the automated rail transport system coming up, the Kuching urban transport system coming up as well. All these augur well for making Kuching to start with and the rest of Sarawak a very tourist friendly and easy to get around. Our strength lies in our nature, our festivals, our food. So I think these are strengths that Sarawak should ride on and maximize these opportunities that are here. And I think that with our improved infrastructure, be it connectivity coming into Sarawak from more international destinations, and better connectivity and network also within the state. And also we have our UNESCO heritage sites of Mulu and Nia, which are very unique, and our city of gastronomy, Kuching city of gastronomy, we have a lot of good things coming for Sarawak. So I'm very optimistic. The tourism players are very optimistic, and we are very blessed and lucky to have our good Minister of Tourism and our good leadership to help pull the state to greater heights.
Home to at least 34 different ethnicities, Sarawak's rich cultural mix is already a unique selling point. Knowing how to turn this uniqueness into niche festivals and experiences can create real and measurable successes. For more insights from industry leaders, watch Decimal Point.